72-year-old gentleman. I did the right side, which had severe bone loss maybe 4-5 years ago. It was a constrained implant at that point because I was not that evolved in terms of the technique then, but we did the left side recently. So here you have two screens. We've already shown you this. On the left side, you have a 0-0 screen, which is the MA plan. But on the right side, you can see that I have 11 degrees of varus in order to make a 7-on-7 cut. So this is what most delegates have in their mind. What do we do when we have such extreme varus? Now, is this varus native? Is it just cartilage loss, or is there some amount of bone loss? So just for completion's sake, Nitin on the live screen will actually convert a mechanical plan to a kinematic plan. So you can see that he's pinned on the lateral side and then he's giving varus, and he'll keep giving till you get to a point where you have equal amount of cut. So here you can see as you keep going round about now around 11 degrees, right? And he will raise it back to 7 millimeters. So that is your initial tibial cut for a kinematic start point. Now let's move on to the femur. Again, he's pinned medial, he's giving valgus in order for the cuts to be 6.5. So he's bringing it down to 6.5. So now we're done in the coronal plane. Now let's go to the axial plane. He will pin medial, he will give some amount of internal rotation, and then he'll bring it down to 6.5. So what I've shown you as a static two images, you can actually see on the live image that now we have 11 degrees of varus, 3 degrees of valgus, and 0.5 or 1 degree of internal rotation. So to start off, this is pretty good. But then what happens? So how do you quantify for bone loss? So this is what we've started doing. So here on the clinical image, you can actually see that you have bare bone here, and then as you keep coming up, you can see there is an interface where you start seeing cartilage. Even in the most severe bone loss cases, you will have some amount of cartilage left on the medial side. So the previous resection landmark, which was much deeper in the bone defect, we will reposition it to a point where you have cartilage. So the difference that happens between these 2 points is the amount of bone loss. So this is a video that I'm playing. So now I've decided with the live probe that this is the actual point. How did I make that decision? Based on the amount of cartilage which is present on the medial side. So during the surgery, the MAKO product specialist will go back to the resection landmarks and he will try to pinpoint and replicate the same point that I've clinically decided on the implant planning screen. So here you can see that he's gone on to the bone resection landmark screen and he's selecting that new point. So till he picks the right point, I will not remove by probe because we have to keep rechecking once or twice to see whether he's hit the right point. So here you can see that once he has hit the point, now see the number. What was 7 has become 8.5 millimeters. That means there was 1.5 millimeters of bone loss. So this is how we are assessing the amount of bone loss. Now we will adjust the MAKO planning screen again and bring it back to 7 millimeters. So in the first step, we've quantified bone loss. We are bringing that number again back to 7-on-7, and hence we've come to 8.5 millimeters. So this adjustment, it is not adjusting for cartilage wear. This is only adjusting for bone wear. And this is done clinically based on the cartilage that you have on the medial side. Once this is done, now you have the new plan where the tibial cut is around 8.5 varus. This again is beyond the boundary of functional alignments. So what we do is now we have to move from unrestricted to restricted, and the reason for moving is a bony indication. The indication is because it's 8.5 varus. That for me as a surgeon is not acceptable. That is the reason I'm moving from a unrestricted plan to restricted. So the first thing that you need to understand is, when do you move from unrestricted to restricted? Whenever you have a bony indication, where your implant position is not acceptable to you. So let's go back to the plan, and you can see that here he will change. You can do it on the live screen. We are coming back to 5 degrees of varus, right? So now this has become a restricted KA plan. You have 3 valgus on the femur, 5 varus on the tibia. Your overall HK axis is 2 degrees. So now we've come on to the restricted KA plan. Once we do this, we capture the gaps. Now when we capture the gaps, you can see that I've already shown them on the right side of the screen. We got 1 millimeter and 1.5 in extension, 1.5 and 6.5 in flexion. So you can see that I'm capturing those gaps. And then in this particular case, probably the popliteus was completely incompetent and I had a big gap in flexion. Maybe now I would accept it because I'm doing unrestricted KA, but in this case, this is an indication for you to move from restricted to functional. Because now, for you to compensate for that 6.5 gap, you have to move the femur. So your change from restricted KA to functional is a soft tissue indication. So that is, in summary, what I'm trying to tell you. You move from unrestricted to restricted based on a bony indication, and you move from restricted to functional based on a soft tissue indication. If the gaps that you capture are not balanced enough, then you start moving the femur in order to achieve your plan. So that's what I did here. You can see in this particular case where you can see here that I'm externally rotating and I'm reducing the gap down to 3.5 because at that point that was my limit, and this is how I made my restricted plan functional. So just to summarize, we were 8.5. It was not acceptable to me, so it was a bony indication to change it to restricted. But in a restricted plan, the soft tissue laxity was unacceptable. That's why I've changed to functional alignment. Thank you.